Hey everybody, it's PZ at SpinNerd.com, and today I'm here to tell you the real history of the fidget spinner. I've been doing a bunch of research on this lately, and I think I've finally revealed the true identity of the person that had the most to contribute to our modern day fidget spinner. So just about every major news publication has picked up the story about a Florida grandma, the original inventor of the fidget spinner, and how recently she's fallen on hard times. Here you can see it on the New York Times, and here you can see one of the original articles actually from the Guardian newspaper. And a pretty interesting story. The story goes that this grandma invented the fidget spinner, and she basically wasn't able to keep up the payments on the patent royalty, and so she lost the patents, and now she's missed out on this huge windfall. So what I really kind of want to do is I want to take a look at that patent, because I think it's worth diving into just a little bit further. So here it is. This is the patent, and kind of the first thing you notice is that it just looks like a circle. I looked over the patent, and there's no mention of a bearing or anything like it. So it doesn't necessarily have a very strong resemblance initially to kind of the fidget spinner that kind of you and I are used to today. Yeah, I mean let's just look at it a little bit more. The more I look at it, the kind of less I feel it has anything to do actually with our fidget spinner. I mean, let's look at the wording that her patent has. She's invented something that says, "It's the perfect embodiment, has a dome which fits over the finger, and a skirt for rotational balance." A dome that fits over the finger and a skirt for rotational balance. I mean, what does that remind you of? That reminds me of a hat. She invented a hat. She didn't invent a fidget spinner, she invented a hat. So this article that's been making the rounds in every single news journal that I've seen is essentially a hat, or maybe this. It's just something that goes on top of a finger that you can play with. So, hey, look at me. I invented a fidget spinner. Because that's what that original patent says. So, kudos to her for putting in a patent. But, I remember when I was a kid growing up, I used to always fidget with things too. I fidgeted with hats, I fidgeted with pens. I guess I didn't have any patents, but I see very little resemblance between this patent and kind of what we view as a fidget spinner today. Very little. So, I guess in my opinion, I don't think she really invented the fidget spinner. I don't think the other press did their due diligence. I don't think they fully researched it. I suppose with something that's gotten this popular, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to claim that they had something to do with kind of the invention of the fidget spinner. Just given how well it's taken off lately. I mean, I did another quick search, and don't even get me started on these other articles. I mean, I think everyone claims that they invented the fidget spinner. So, you know what? I invented the fidget spinner as well. Me. PCSpinner.com. I invented the fidget spinner. Before I tell you who actually I think had the most to do with it, here's another picture of the grandma's granddaughter playing with her original invention, which again I think is actually a hat. Okay, alright, so that takes us to this random guy working in Seattle, working in a long IT career, called Scott. So Scott actually has been featured on NPR lately, kudos to them, and back in the day, back in 2012, 5 years ago now, Scott really liked these kinds of tools called Atwood tools. Atwood tools, they're almost like, they look like screwdrivers. They're, maybe like little knives, just little tools. And Scott here, I found his Instagram, and about 5 years ago, he posted about his collection of Atwood tools. By the way, I'm so like I'm so like stressed about all these people taking taking credit for the invention of the fidget spinner that I'm like fidgeting with this nonstop. Good thing that the fidget spinner has been invented at this point. Anyway, so Scott really loved these Atwood tools, and one day Scott decides to drill a hole through one of his Atwood tools and put what he called at the time a spinner core in the middle. And what a spinner core did was it just allowed you to muck around with the tool. And it made the tool spin around the middle of the spinner core. And Scott posted this on some forums, and people were like, hey, that's awesome. That's, you know, I want that too. And so he made a few more spinner cores. Now, because everybody loved the Atwood toys, Scott decided at the time, in October of 2015, to start a GoFundMe, which is basically like a Kickstarter, to raise some money to basically buy the tools to make a dedicated fidget spinner called the Torque Bar. And I dug up the old GoFundMe page, and here it is. And it seems crazy now because, you know, imagine if you could have your hands on one of the first ever fidget spinners. But he didn't raise what he was looking for. He didn't make it. He did not get the funds that he was looking for. There just was not enough interest at the time. Again, October of 2015. So that GoFundMe, you can still view today. You know, it sits unfunded. Kind of crazy. But Scott still had like plenty of interest in the Torque Bar, and so he actually formed his own company to make them, and he made a few hundred of them, and they sold out right away. You know, he started pricing them at around $130. They went up all the way up to kind of $200-300 for the custom models, and you know, at this point, a few hundred people now have these dedicated fidget spinners in their hands. But really, it's just Scott and a manufacturing firm making these. So, you know, at $130 or higher, he's not able to make enough to really get us to where we are today. You know, a few hundred people having torque bars in their hands is very different from what I assume is probably almost, you know, maybe millions of people that have now heard about and are wanting to get in on the fidget spinner trend today. So how do we get to where we are today, you know, in more of the millions range? So, you know, really, I still give full credit to Scott. Scott's designs were seen by lots of people all over the world, and the thing that really drove adoption was reduction of price. So we started seeing plastic spinners similar to Scott's, but with a 3-arm design popping out of China. And so at first these plastic spinners cost, you know, $20, then they cost $10, then they cost $5, then $2, and then less than $1. Now I'm talking about in quantities of 1,000, so you know they're more than the retail price. Sorry, they're less than the retail price that you would pay in a store. But you know, it started being more affordable to people, and once they got cheaper, more and more people were exposed to them. People on 3D printing forums started being like, hey look, we can make these ourselves too. And that drove adoption. And before you know it, more and more people, you know, at least saw one for the first time and started getting interested in this industry. So let's actually pull up Google Trends. If you haven't seen Google Trends before, it's pretty cool. Kind of on the top right corner there, you basically have where we are today. And you can see that, you know, throughout the history, this is a 5-year history, there's been essentially no mention of the word fidget spinner until very early this year. So very early this year it started to pick up just a tiny little bit. And then it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew. It grew exponentially. Exponential growth. That's something that a VC loves hearing. And everybody loves hearing about VCs, right? No, I don't think anybody does. So anyway, we're going to skip past that. But you can see that even the last like few weeks, it's doubled in interest. It's been crazy. For fun, let's compare it to other fads. And you know, I don't know whether overall we're a complete fad in the fidget spinner industry. You know, I think that at some point the little kids who are buying the plastic models will get tired of them. But then there'll be a group of people that will stay behind. And I don't know what level we'll end up at, but here it is for the hovercraft. Sorry, hoverboard. Hovercrafts. So for the hoverboard, you know, it really like went up and up and up, and then it dropped like crazy. There were all this like safety recalls, and now, you know, no one's really on those things. And I don't know if that's where we'll be in the fidget spinner world at some point. I certainly hope not. You know, I imagine that there are people like me that I think, you know, throughout all their lives, I've always been fidgeting. Again, it used to be a pen or whatever else that I could get my hands on. And, you know, when I finally saw the fidget spinner, it's like, I knew it was made for me. I knew that it was something that worked for me. And I think I just knew right away, and that's why I enjoyed it so much. That's why I enjoy making these videos to share with you guys. So I hope we'll continue to grow, and I hope that you'll be a part of the community with us. And you know, you'll share your thoughts with us. So overall, come find us at spinnerd.com, or there are other great groups as well. There's Spin Space on Facebook. There's a great Reddit community at r/fidget spinners. And I'm going to keep on trying to do a bunch of reviews. I've probably got a backlog of about 30 fidget spinners that I'm looking to review. So if you're interested in learning more about those, just hit subscribe below, and I'll tell you more about them soon. So until next time, take care.